Hey, how's it going? It's Jason Mancia here with another exciting video, and in this video we are going to talk about DaVinci Resolve. I am very excited to talk about DaVinci Resolve. I use DaVinci Resolve all the time. I've been using it for a couple of years now, and I really like this application. I've moved, before I used to use Adobe Premiere, and now I use DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so what is DaVinci Resolve? So I'm just going to jump straight in and talk about the application. So DaVinci Resolve is an application from Blackmagic Design. So if you guys are not familiar with Blackmagic creates cameras. They're a very big company and that focuses on post-production, everything that has to do with television and movie creation. They provide converters, they provide all the equipment, hardware, applications, software, cameras, you name it. They are a very big company and they work closely with like companies like Disney. They work with Netflix. Definitely a huge company that focuses on post-production. Okay, so DaVinci Resolve is a post-production video editing application. So that's what it is. DaVinci is a video editing application. Okay, you can organize footage, edit clips, create motion graphics, adjust audio levels, and export projects all in one application. So that's pretty cool. I've been using DaVinci for a very long time for this reason, because I don't have to jump to other applications like Adobe Premiere. For Adobe Premiere, like say if you want to create a motion graphics or lower third, you would have to jump into After Effects, and DaVinci Resolve allows you to do everything within one application. So that's pretty cool. DaVinci Resolve, and I want to talk about the workflow. DaVinci Resolve has a certain workflow from start to finish. However, based on your production style or your needs, you can jump around these pages because DaVinci Resolve is composed of different pages or different modes, if you will. And the first mode is called the media page, where you basically organize all your clips. So you organize all your clips, you can see metadata, you can briefly skim through them, you can add markers, you can add basic adjustments, you can organize them into folders, or what DaVinci calls them bins. You can now organize them in bins, and that is the media page. So the media page is a primary interface for clip import, media management, and clip organization in DaVinci Resolve. It's basically the central to the way DaVinci Resolve works, that the source media is used by a project. It's organized separately from the project data that you import and manage in the edit page. In this way, you can manage and update the clips used by timelines in the current project with ease. Switching between offline and online media, reorganizing clips, and troubleshooting any problems that occur. So you do all of that within the media page. Okay. Next, we have the cut pages. The cut page is a focus environment for fast editing. It's used in situations where you need to quickly cut, for example, a news segment, build an episode of web content, or edit a straightforward program. You can do all those things, or you can even experiment with multiple arrangements of a scene, or put together a first assembly edit. So the cut page is also a good introductory editing interface for people who are new to editing, as it presents a streamlined set of tools that are fast to learn and simple to use. Whatever your background, you'll find the cut page to be a valuable addition to your editing experience in DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so the default workspace of the cut page consists of the media pool, and I'll talk about the different aspects or different components that each page has later in this video. Okay, so that is the cut page, and then we also have the edit page, and I think this is where we're going to spend most time in the edit page. The edit page is basically where you do all the creative editing. Okay, so the edit page is divided into three main regions. The browser is found at the left, the viewer is at the top, the timeline at the bottom, all of which work together to let you import, edit, and trim timelines with a flexibility of varieties of tools and methods. Okay, And we'll talk about these different tools, different methods. There's a different ways to edit a clip. But there's different methods that allow you to do it more faster and more efficient. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so in the next page, we have the effects page. And basically, DaVinci Resolve calls it the Fusion page. The Fusion page is basically like After Effects or Nuke. For those who are familiar with Nuke or After Effects, it's a 2D and 3D animation program. And cool thing about DaVinci, it's all within the app. So you can animate lower thirds, you can create a snap, you can create intros, you can create bumpers, all within DaVinci Resolve. You can also modify the different graphics, all within DaVinci Resolve. So if you have a template, no need to export in After Effects and then import it. You can do everything within DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so this is a Fusion page. We're not gonna go into this page in this lesson. We'll probably talk on another occasion, but you can definitely use this option. Okay. And then next we have the color page. Now the color page is widely known in the industry of filmmaking. It's what makes DaVinci Resolve very special and very widely known, because I'm pretty sure 80% of the movies or series that you watch use DaVinci Resolve because of this. And essentially, the color page allows you to color correct footage, allows you to color grade footage. It's very different. And the color page is divided into 7 main areas that work together to let you build a grade. So it's very flexible. It's node based, and I'll talk to you guys later about what that is. But this is the color page, and this page allows you to color correct your videos. Okay. Now the next part is called the Fairlight page. It's basically an audio editor. The Fairlight page is optimized to edit audio tracks. So it's as you can tell, you can't see video on this page. It's strictly just for audio. Okay, so here you can put effects, you can put a reverb, you can put a noise reduction, and you can also adjust the different tracks by the mixer, through the mixer. So you have the mixer, you have an inspector panel where it allows you to add different adjustments to each clip, and all of this you can do it within the Fairlight page. Okay, so that's where essentially you'll be working with audio, and here you can throw in like sound effects and cool sound effects and music and stuff in this page. Okay, and lastly we have the share page, or as DaVinci calls it, the deliver page. So once you're finished grading your project, you need to either render it or output it to tape to deliver it to your client. So this is where the delivery page comes in. The delivery page can be used to output digital files, depending on which mode you enable. You can export in H.264, you can export on ProRes. So it's giving you a lot of different options, and there's already presets that let you export in those formats. You can export even directly to Facebook, YouTube, or even TikTok. So all of that, you can do it within the DaVinci deliver page. So these are all panels that are available within the app. So you can go from organizing, cutting, editing, adding effects, color grading those clips, fixing the audio, all the way to sharing your clip to the masses, okay, to YouTube or to Instagram. So all of this is the basic workflow of DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so I talk about what DaVinci Resolve is and the different layouts there is in DaVinci Resolve. Now, what makes DaVinci unique? Now, I talk to a lot of people, and this is why I recommend DaVinci Resolve, is because you can collaborate as a team within DaVinci Resolve. Unlike programs like Final Cut Pro X, you can't share those files across different people, or you can share them, but you can't edit them at the same time. So DaVinci Resolve has team collaboration in mind. So you can essentially have one project and you can have multiple people working on that project. So let's say, for example, you have in California, you have an editor. editing on this project. And then you have someone in Las Vegas working on the color grading. And then you have someone in Texas working on the audio part of the project. And then let's say you have someone all the way in New York that's doing all the motion graphics. So it's very flexible. You have this ability to work with different people on one single project, meaning that the project's going to be done a lot quicker. Especially if, time is money. So these productions, they focus a lot on making things a lot quicker and making content, quality content at a very fast pace. So when you involve a team in working on a certain project, they can focus on doing things not only with quality, but doing efficiently. So that's a very important part of DaVinci Resolve is that they have team collaboration in mind. Okay. And also what makes it unique is that it's built from Blackmagic. So it's compatible with Blackmagic hardware and software. So as I mentioned before, Blackmagic creates cameras. They're a huge provider of making cameras. They make broadcast equipment. They make converters. They make all these cool stuff that allows you to create content. So that's why a lot of companies like Walt Disney, they use like Netflix, they use these cameras and these systems. And why not use the software that can basically edit all of these things? So DaVinci Resolve is a product from Blackmagic, and they kept in mind all the functionality from cameras, and it's compatible within DaVinci Resolve. Okay. And DaVinci Resolve, it's very lightweight. You can work it on in a small computer, or you can scale it up to a huge production studio. So DaVinci Resolve can be used by multiple people at once, or you can just use it for a single person. So it has the ability to grow and scale. And I think that's what's pretty cool about DaVinci Resolve. Okay. So I think it is important to mention that DaVinci Resolve is a library-based application. So it's very similar to Final Cut Pro X, where Final Cut has its libraries, and then within this libraries has events, and then within those events you have like different lists. Well, it's very similar to DaVinci Resolve. So DaVinci Resolve uses project libraries. It uses folders or bins, as DaVinci calls it, and then within those bins you have projects to organize your workspace. Okay. So I've already talked about what DaVinci Resolve is. Let's go ahead and download DaVinci Resolve. So installing DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so I'm going to invite you guys to go ahead and click on this link. Or of course you can just type it on your computer. It's www.blackmagicdesign.com/products/DaVinci Resolve. And DaVinci is free. You don't have to purchase anything. That's what's really cool about DaVinci Resolve. You can install it almost in any computer. DaVinci Resolve is also available in the Mac App Store. I don't recommend it on the App Store because the updates seem to be a little better, or they're faster when you download them through their website. But if you have that option to download it through the Mac App Store. And they do have a purchase version, or like a full version, if you will. And you don't need it for this tutorial. You don't need it for, I would say, for most cases. So Blackmagic is completely free, and you can go ahead and download it using this link. Okay. So once you go ahead and click on that link, you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna locate the download link. So there's this little button right here where it says free download now. You're gonna go ahead and click on that, and you can go ahead and follow through. After that, you're gonna go ahead and click on your software version. So I am going to be using a Mac. I will be using a Mac for this tutorial on this course, and there's different options. So you can use a Mac OS X, you can use Linux, you can use Windows. Go ahead and click your software version. Once you click on that, it's going to ask you to register and download. So here you're just going to put on your information. You don't have to worry about paying anything or subscribing to anything. It just wants to collect data information of who is downloading their program. So just put in your basic details and click on register and download. Okay. So once you download this application, you want to make sure you unzip it. If you are using a Mac, go ahead and mount this image, the disk image, and you're gonna go ahead and click on Install Resolve. Okay, so once you click on that, you're gonna get this window. Just go ahead and follow the steps and click on Install. All right, so once you have DaVinci Resolve installed, if you have to, you can go ahead and pause this video. But if you guys are ready, let's start your very first project. All right, and I think this is a very important or perfect opportunity to mention that this lesson does come with lesson files. So I do recommend you guys go ahead and download it. You can scan or click this QR code and download the lesson file so you guys can follow along with this lesson. And I'll be using these lesson files throughout the whole course. So definitely go ahead and download those so you guys can follow through this lesson. Okay, or not, you can just watch along. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and locate and launch DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so DaVinci Resolve will be installed in your applications folder, and I am going to show you that right now. So I'm gonna jump into my computer here, and I am going to show you the applications folder. Okay, so these are my applications, and I am going to locate DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is right here. So that is DaVinci Resolve. This is a folder, by the way, so go ahead and click on that. And you're gonna look for this file right here. Okay, so you're gonna right click on this and press open. And close this. And you're gonna be greeted by this loading screen. Okay, so this loading screen, let it do its thing. If it's your first time using DaVinci Resolve, you might have like this little pop-ups introducing you to DaVinci Resolve, maybe asking you a quick question where what kind of editing application you use or you have any experience. Just go ahead and skip all that or just press continue. And then it's gonna take you to the project manager. Okay. So the project manager is where you keep your project library, okay? And I want to talk about project library. What is a project library? Hashtag tech terms. I'm gonna be using that more often. A project library is a single folder or file that includes video clips, audio files, images, and other elements used in the creation of a video project. Okay, and I can't stress this enough. I've talked to different editors, I've talked to other friends of mine, and it's very sad, or it's very chaotic. I think that's the better word. It's very chaotic to see that they're stumbling upon different formats, different hard drives. Maybe they have their music in like the Google Drive, and they have like their B-roll and SD card, and then they have their audio in another hard drive, and then they have, so it's very chaotic. The project file or project library is meant for you to have all your stuff, all your graphics, all your music, your photos, anything that you're going to use for your project within that folder or library. Okay, so whenever you guys are going to start a new project, make sure that you organize everything ahead of time and put it into one folder. This is essentially what you will call the project library. Okay, so the project library provides a centralized location where users can easily access, view, and manage these files. And the reason why you want to do this is because, let's say halfway through the project you're not able to finish the project, right? You have another project due, or you need to jump back to something else. Well, you can pass this project to someone else. And if you're organized from the start, that person will be able to just open the file, open the project library, and have everything connected. Because I've seen people that don't have their projects properly set up, and when they lose a file, they panic and they start looking in all different, either through hard drives, through Google Drive, through emails, through links, and it just becomes very chaotic. So you want to make sure you have everything within the project library. Okay, so this is a project manager. And the left hand side, we have the project libraries. Okay, so this is essentially each library, each line here you see is a library. Okay, so this is where you're going to be saving all your projects. Okay, and on the right hand side, you have your project library browser. So this is where you can see different folders. You can organize these different projects. For example, I can say that let's say one library can be like a company, can be another YouTube channel. You can have those organized in libraries, and within that library you can have different episodes for that channel, for that YouTube channel within that library. So that's where you can access the projects. Okay, and then lastly, we also have project location. So project location would be like where these projects are saved. They can be saved locally, they can be accessed over the network. That's pretty useful if you're in a building with a team, or you can access it through the cloud. So if you have a team, like I said earlier, you have a team in different parts of the world, you can all work together through the cloud. Okay, but for this video, for this tutorial, we're going to be focusing just on the local. Okay, locally, we're going to be working locally. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our first library. We're going to go ahead and click here where it says add project library. I'm going to jump to this computer here. We're going to click on here, add project library, and here we're going to just go ahead and call it tutorials. Tutorials. Now you want to make sure you guys save this in a place that you know. I recommend you guys get a hard drive or an SSD, a solid state drive, where you can work essentially from that drive. Okay, so I already have a place for it here. I'm gonna press open, and I've already created it, but that's why I'm gonna press cancel. But for you guys, go ahead and click create. Okay, all right, so now we have our project library. Okay, so now we are ready to create our first project. So to create a project, you're gonna first make sure you have your project manager open. You want to select the library. Once you have that selected, we are going to hit on you're going to click on new project. Okay, once you click on that, you're going to get this window, and we're going to go ahead and type. I'm going to jump into my computer here. We're going to create a cooking show project. So I'm just going to type cooking show, and I'm going to press create. Okay, and you're going to see this window pop up, and it automatically takes you to the cut page. Okay, and right before we go to the cut page, let's go to the media page. Okay, so down here we're going to go ahead and click media, and this is where we are going to get started. So let's set up the project settings. Now, I think this is important to mention that this is why you want to review your clips before you even start editing. So you can get a feel of the frame rate. You have an idea of what the video is for. In this case, we're going to work landscape for landscape video. And we're going to work at 59.94 frames per second. So first we got to do that in the project settings. So to do that, we're going to go ahead to the bottom right hand corner. We're going to click on the gear. That's the project settings. And it's going to take you to this window here. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to my computer real quick. And I'm going to click on this gear here. Okay, so now we have the master settings. And you can change the settings individually for each timeline. You're not restricted to these settings. However, these are the master settings. So whatever new project new timeline you create, they're going to be using these settings that you have here. So I already know, I've already reviewed the footage, I'm sorry, and I am going to use a 720p by 59.94 frames per second, and everything else here is fine, perfect. Now let's go ahead and click save, and now we're ready to import. Okay. And like I said, in this video we're not going to edit, but I am going to show you guys the different parts of DaVinci Resolve before we start editing. Okay, so you can import through the browser. That's what the browser is for. You can essentially locate your drives. Here you can see your drives here in the top left corner, and I already have a location for it where it's saved. I'm gonna go ahead and look for that location, and here we go. So this is these are the files I'm working with. Okay, so I can just copy and just drag and drop to the media pool. Okay, so keep in mind this is your media browser. Okay, and now that I'm here, I'm just going to quickly talk about the layout of the media page. So top left side, we have the media storage browser. This is where you browse all your clips. You can access your drives. You can even access network drives through here, so that's pretty cool. And then you have next your viewer. So your viewer lets you preview any clips that you have selected. That allows you to add markers to it, add comments. Then you have your inspector tab here. Your inspector is where you can add like quick effects. You can you can zoom in, you can change the positioning. Just keep in mind that anything that you do here in the media page is affected throughout all the pages. So if, let's say I zoom in this clip, let's say I'm just gonna quickly jump on over here to the computer. Let's just drag and drop here. Let's say I click here, open my inspector page, and then I zoom in here. Well, it's gonna show like this throughout all my edits, through all the cut. So you don't want to modify it here. I would recommend modifying it when you're in your edit page. Although you do have that option to modify it here, that would be through the inspector page. Okay, through inspector tab, I'm sorry. Then next we have the media pool. And so the media pool is where you have all your files that are in your project. Okay, so you have the media storage browser and you have your media pool. Your media storage browser is just a browser. You don't have anything, and everything that's through there is not imported yet. You have to make sure you import it to your media pool. That's where you're gonna have all your clips organized for your project. Okay, and then on the bottom right hand corner you have your metadata. So metadata is everything that has to do with information about the clip. You can see how long the clip is, what format, whether it has audio, the frame rate, the aspect ratio. All that information is on your metadata page. Okay, so that's essentially your media page. Now I'm going to jump real quick here to DaVinci Resolve, and as you can see, I hide my metadata. You see, you can go ahead and click here. And here within the media pool, you can select different columns, and I'll go more into detail later of each page in another video. But for now, let's go ahead and create our very first timeline. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click the first clip here, which is the ATEM program, the proxy. I'm going to go ahead and right click and create a new timeline using the clip. Okay, and I'm just going to call this my first timeline. Okay, and since we have already set the project settings, we can just click here, use project settings, or if you uncheck it, you can see the different options. We'll go into that later. For now, let's just go ahead and click use project settings and press create. Okay, so as you can see, this file or this file was created. This is your timeline. Now let's go ahead and double click on it. It's going to take you straight to the edit page, but before that, let's go back to the cut page. So the cut page has also a media pool. Don't be confused with the media browser. Okay, so this is now your media pool. This is where you have files that have been actually imported into your project. Okay, and in the middle you have your viewer. Okay, so your viewer shows you a real-time view of your timeline or the selected clip. So if you want to preview a clip, make sure you select the clip on your media pool and then you can preview it. Okay, and to view the timeline, just go ahead and click anywhere in your timeline. And then next we have the inspector. Okay, so just like in the media pool, in the media tab, we also have an inspector here where you can also add adjustments to your clips here. And then you have your timeline. This is a timeline where you can actually edit. Like the cut page is basically an editor, and you can edit videos, but it's designed in a way where you can do it very quickly. So if you pair this with a console, you can edit almost 3 times as fast using the console and the cut page. So you don't even have to use a keyboard, you can just use a console. So that's pretty cool. And DaVinci has this option essentially because once you have a very good idea of how to edit things, if you have a good idea of how to edit a certain video or clip, well, it's just a matter of throwing things in the timeline, moving things around, and adding transitions in the next page. Okay, so the next page, I'm sorry, and before that, I'm gotta talk about the toolbar. So of course the toolbar has unique tools in the cut page. These tools are here for available for you guys so you guys can edit faster. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly jump back to my computer here, and I'm gonna create a new track. So and I'm just gonna show you, like I said, we're not editing just yet, I'm just showing you guys right now. You can create multiple tracks here, and let's say I have one track for my B-roll. I can have B-roll right there, and I have another track for my lower third, and then I have another track here for my bug. So you have that option to do everything there, okay, all within the cut page. And it's very cool because it can show you a very live view of the timeline. You can see this timeline is very huge. Okay, so that's the cut page. Now let's go ahead over and jump into the edit page. Okay, so on the computer, I'm gonna go ahead and click this button down here, click on edit, and I want you to talk about different parts of the edit page. So on the top left side, you'll have the media pool again, and this time instead of one viewer, we have 2 viewers. It's totally customizable, and I'm going to jump here real quick on my computer. Very customizable. If I turn off my inspector, I can just click on this icon here and it can go back to 1 viewer or 2 viewers. And the reason why you want 2 viewers here is, let's say you're previewing like different clips. You can see I'm just dragging and dropping here. I can preview different clips here while you're working with the timeline, with the actual timeline of, I'm sorry, with the viewer that views the timeline. Okay, so you can work with that simultaneously, and other applications do the same. I know Final Cut, Premiere are built this way, so you start to see several familiar things that are available in other apps. Well, you have them here too. You have the preview viewer and you have the primary viewer. Next, we have the timeline. Of course, like I said, the timeline is where you're going to be working on the most. This is where essentially where the magic happens. This is where you add your bugs, your lower third, your snipe, your B-roll, your videos, your audio, your sound effects, your mics, everything you put in here inside the timeline. Okay, so this is where you're going to be working on the most. Then we have the mixer. Okay, so unlike other applications, and I'm bashing on Final Cut because Final Cut does not have this. Final Cut only has levels. Well, unlike Final Cut, you have a mixer where you can actually adjust individual tracks, individual audio tracks, and this mixer is later reflected throughout the Fairlight page. And you also have the toolbar. So toolbar here, you can have unique tools that allows you to edit. Like I said, you're only going to use basic tools. We're not gonna go too much depth in this course. I'll talk more about the edit page later on, but the toolbar has all the tools you need for you to edit. Okay, and of course you also have metadata and inspector. So it's very cool to have that within the edit page. And like I said earlier, the media page is available for you to troubleshoot any clips. Let's say you need to convert a clip and it's not working properly, you can't see it properly. Well, you can quickly see the different options or information about that clip within the edit page through this panel here. So I'm gonna jump to my computer real quick, and you can click. If I click on metadata here, I can select the clip, and you can see that some of these clips are 720. See, if I click on the audio, the intro, say out intro's in 1080. Not a big deal. We'll work on that later, but that's pretty cool to have within the edit page. Now I'm just jumping along real quick. Like I said, we're not editing on this video just yet, but on this page, we are going to essentially work with the graphics. So the Fusion page, same thing, very similar to other panels or other pages. You have the media pool on your top left, and very differently from the viewers, you have media outputs, because when you're working with nodes, you can preview, for example, you can set up before and after certain nodes, and I'm not going to talk about too much in this course about the Fusion page, but you have that option. And then of course we have the inspector. We have on the left, we have the node graph, we have the spline editor, and we have the keyframe editor. Okay, so these three things are commonly known in the 2D and 3D animation world. Like I said, we're not going to talk much about this in this course, but it's good to know that we have these tools within DaVinci Resolve. Of course, we have our clips. The way DaVinci works is that each clip is its own scene. So it's very similar to like a movie where you have different clips and you have different scenes. Well, you have different camera angles, and different camera angles sometimes involve different scenes in 3D animation. Okay. And then we have the toolbar. So toolbar allows you to modify the node graph. You can add nodes, you can add correctors. Everything's available in the toolbar. Okay. And like I said, we're not going to talk much about this page, so let's go ahead and jump straight to the color page. And the color page is actually very cool, very useful. You have on the top left, and I'm just going to jump to my computer real quick. You also have the media pool. So you have this available here. But you're probably going to be working more in the gallery, the stills gallery. So the stills gallery is essentially where you're going to save all like your presets. Let's say you have 4 different cameras. They all have the exact same settings. They're in the same place, same lighting. You just need to adjust one camera, and you can just create a still from it. So I'm going to jump to my computer here. You can see that we have the gallery, still gallery right here in the top left corner, and then we have the viewer. Okay, so we can actually create like grab still. I'm just going to show you this real quick. You can grab a still. You can apply this effects, anything that you saved or you did on this effect, you can apply it to different clips. So it's very useful, very cool. You can do that within the stills gallery. So color page, you have your stills gallery. You also have your viewers, very similar to other pages, and you'll have your node graph. So your node graph is essentially where you can add correctors, you can add masks, you can do all that stuff within the node graph. In the bottom, you have your clips. So each clip has its own grade. Of course, you can copy and paste different grades within different clips. You can synchronize these grades, and you can scroll through the different clips to adjust the different gradings. Okay. And then we have the timeline. Very cool. That way we can just quickly scroll instead of having to scroll through all the clips. Let's say you're working on a movie, you're gonna have thousands and thousands of clips. So instead of having to scroll through all the clips, you can just click on a certain part of the timeline instead of having to scroll a lot. So that's pretty cool to have. And then we have our color wheels on the left, and I'm just going to jump real quick to the computer. We have the color wheels, but we also have different options up here. So these are like 3 different panels. You can have like the camera tracking, you have color match, you have color wheels, we have the mixer, we have motion effects. So all these are available around or on the color wheels tab. Okay, next we have the curves, our curves and masking. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to my computer. We have curves, we have color slice, we have color warper. So we have all these tools available, and this is why it's very useful, and it's used a lot in film and television, because you have all these tools, this flexibility at your disposal to edit or color grade these clips. So you can add blur, you can add masking, you can even track. You can track certain grades on certain clips. Okay, so you guys can do that there. And lastly, you have your scopes. So scopes is what you use to visualize color in a graph. So you have parade. I'm just going to go back to the computer here. You can click on this button here, which expands the different tools. You can see you have parade, you have your waveform, you have your vector scope. And if you don't know any of this, that's okay. I'll explain very basic about what this is. This is basically a tool. It's a chart that you can use to color grade it, to color correct it. This is very useful tools. You can see in chart form, all your colors and all your color data. Okay, so very useful. Also, you have your keyframes here, and of course, you have your clip information. Okay, that's very useful, and that's all within the color page. Okay, now I'm gonna jump right into Fairlight. Now this is Fairlight here, or audio editor. And as you can see, you have different panels to the Fairlight. So on the top left corner, you also, once again, we have the media pool, but this time it looks a little different. Media pool, since it's audio based, or this page is audio focused, you can actually see the waveforms. Unlike the other pages, you can see the waveforms here. And that's very cool because this way you can see how loud a certain object, whether the volume goes up, goes down. You can visualize that in the media pool. Okay, and next we have the effects panel. I'm sorry, the meters panel. So here you can see the different meters. You can see if you have multiple channels, if you have multiple let's say multiple tracks, you can see all that within the meters. You can visualize the different volume or output for each individual track. Okay, then on the middle here on the right, towards the right, we have the viewer. Like I said, this is an audio based page. It focuses strictly on audio, but sometimes you need to see if the audio is even synchronized. You need to see the visuals. So the viewer gives you a very basic view of your timeline. It's everything that you have in your timeline is reflected on this viewer panel. Then we have the inspector. So the inspector is going to look a little different on this page because this one focuses more on audio. So as you can see here, you have our equalizer, we have different effects, you have transitions. Here you can actually manage the different plugins. So let's say I add a noise reduction effect, or add a dialogue processing effect, or an echo, or a chorus. All that can be managed through the inspector. Okay. And on the bottom left, of course, we have the effects. This is where you find the different effects for your audio. You can add different effects as mentioned earlier. And here you have your timeline. Your timeline, this is, you can zoom in and out. You can zoom in and out. You can see the waveforms, which I think is very, very useful. Sometimes I don't even have to listen to it. I can already see that the volume is too high. So just by looking at the waveforms, you can see if it's too loud or not. So that's very useful, and that's all available within the timeline. Then towards the right, you have the mixer. So the way the mixer works is that each track is essentially a channel inside a mixer. If you have ever used a real world mixer, it has inputs. It has its own channel, its own meter. So all of that is available within the mixer. Okay. Now next we have our toolbar. So as you notice, every page has its own tools. It's very unique tools. Some are very basic, and it can be seen throughout different pages, but each page has its very unique to a specific type of task. You have different tools. So here in your audio, your audio toolbar, you can actually see tempo. So if you're working with music, that's very useful. You can see the graph, you can see the tempo. You can actually animate volume controls, which is very cool. All that it's available in the toolbar. All right, so we're almost finished. We're going to talk about, lastly, the deliver page. So as I mentioned before, there's a lot of presets available in the render settings. So on the left side, you have your render settings. So here you can choose a location. I'm going to jump to the computer real quick. Here you can see the location. You can choose where this clip is going to be saved. You can choose the the video format here. You can choose audio format here as well. Whether you want it breaking down into individual clips, whether you want one clip. Here you can actually burn subtitles. What I mean burn is essentially overlap subtitles on top of the video. So I'll be showing you guys how to do that as well. So so you can click here, you can export subtitles. And this is the render settings. Now in the middle we have our viewer again. Now except here you can't really do much here. It's specifically just for viewing. You're not editing here, although you see the timeline, you see clips, and you see the viewer. You can't edit anything on this page. So this page is specifically for you just to scroll through the timeline, and through the clips to make sure everything's color graded. Yeah, so that's all available within the deliver page. Now on the top right side we have the render queue. Like I mentioned before, you can export multiple clips from a single timeline. Let's say you need to export to YouTube and like 1080, and then you want to burn it into a CD, I don't know, in 4K. You can do different clips on that through the render queue. The render queue is exactly what it sounds like. It's a queue for you to render clips. Okay, so just because it's there doesn't mean it's rendered yet. You still need to click on render. Okay. And then we have the clips. We have our clips. Very easy navigator. I really like that at DaVinci. So I'm gonna jump real quick to the color page, to the computer. I'm sorry. And you're gonna see here that there's the number 1 right here. You can see that the different clips, and it's grayed out. So that means it's not been color corrected. So if I see that right before I export, I can see that, oh, I need to color grade it. So I can go back to the color page. Let's say I'm just going to do a very basic adjustment. Let's bring the blue tints, and then I don't know, maybe it needs a bit more contrast here. Bring down the gamma. So very basic adjustment, nothing too crazy. And I'm going to go back to the deliver page, and you can see now it has a little rainbow effect around the number. So that basically tells you that this clip has been color corrected. So it's very useful to see that in the deliver page. That way you know, and you make sure that these clips have been color corrected before you start exporting. Okay, so you have your clips, and then once again you have your timeline. Like I said before, you can't really edit here. You can't add tracks, you can't remove or edit anything here. It's strictly for you to see it. And I'm just gonna jump to the computer again. Here you can actually set in and out points. So let's say you only want to export a certain piece of the timeline. You can set your in, you can set your out, and I'm doing that by clicking I and O on the keyboard. I'll show you guys more shortcuts. Shortcuts is a big thing in editing applications. Definitely learn your shortcuts. Okay, so you can do that within the deliver page. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead where it says render. I'm gonna click on entire timeline so I can render the whole thing, and that's your timeline. And very lastly, here you have your control room. Control room is basically your levels, or your overall levels of your entire timeline. So unlike Fairlight that you have multiple tracks, here in your delivery page it just shows you the final audio levels of your entire project. So very useful, because when you go ahead and press play, you can see if it's too saturated, the audio, if you maybe need to adjust, go back into adjust it. So it's very cool that you can see all these things within the delivery page before you export. So it's a good practice to just double check everything, make sure everything's color graded, everything's in the correct place, the audio is good, the color is good, everything is good. So that's what you can, that's available for you to do in the deliver page. Okay, all right, so that is it for this video. Like I said, I talked about different aspects of DaVinci Resolve, I talked about the media page, the cut page, the edit page, Fusion, Color, Fairlight, and the deliver page, and the different things you can do within those pages. Okay, so on the next video we are going to actually get started in editing this video. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to edit this cooking show that we recorded in Beravision and the studio of Beravision, and we are going to get started on that. Okay, so be sure to follow me and join the community. I do have a WhatsApp community page or group. You guys can click or scan any of these QR codes. I'm available on Facebook as well. I'm available on Instagram and YouTube, so definitely go ahead and check that out. And of course, if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. Let me know if this is helpful, this information is helpful. Hopefully it is. And yep, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, so take care.